1, 2, 3, go. Welcome to Spartalknewztalk, your plucky working class source for the news you need and the takes you trust, where your two friends from down the block have ingrained a harrowing news cycle and programming schedule into their lives for the cause of grassroots news and media literacy in our community. We are casting from the cozy hamlet of Southwest Detroit, Mexican town, nearly bled of all toxins, which he's collected in a jar to pour out in honor of the death of Dark Man X. Haakim Walker sits by me today. Haakim, were you a fan of DMX?
I was a fan of DMX, yeah.
You were, or were you were?
Yeah.
Yes, same. Were you a fan of Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh?
Not so much. So
we're not going to pour one up. Even his older stuff, like the coronation. Not so much. So we won't pour out any of our toxins for him today. We have a great show today. It's my birthday episode. I'm 30. I'm 35. I don't look a day over 47. I want to celebrate by making a higher end drink with some higher end spirits. Of course, with the permission of my temporarily teetotaling compatriot, Haakim. The beverage portion of the show has suffered a bit from your cleanse the last few weeks or months. But despite my breaking the drought today with a cocktail, I think it's commendable for you to announce it on the show, and showing your process has made the show better. And I'm proud of you, buddy.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
But drink away. It's your birthday. You deserve it. So.
Well, thank you. So without further ado, I'm going to make myself a birthday cocktail, the sidecar. To you, Jack. Thanks, Jack, and happy birthday. And congratulations, Haakim. Only 2 weeks left in your cleanse. Today's my birthday, so I wanted to celebrate, and I'm going to do it with the sidecar. It's an old classic cocktail, dates back to World War I. You need a nice cognac. I got one that's a little bit upper scale, Martell VSOP, and this one is Blue Swift, which means that it's aged in bourbon barrels. Grand Gala, an orange liqueur that's based on an Italian VSOP brandy, and infused with oranges. So this is an excellent pairing, I think. We're gonna see. I've also got lemons. Can't make a sidecar without lemons. And we're gonna start there. But I got a coupe glass here. Coupe glasses are around 3 ounces to 4 ounces. So you wanna make sure you can fit everything. And you might wanna rim your glass too. So I have a little bit of lemon juice there, and I've got a little bit of sugar here. And this is a rimmed coupe glass. It's an absolute no-no for Haakim. You can't have any sugar either. You can't have these, can't have any sugar. I'm gonna squeeze the other end. And these are big lemons, so we might actually get more like 3/4 of an ounce, but usually a lemon or a lime or whatever is going to be an ounce, maybe an ounce and a half. So half of one is about half an ounce. We're going to meet that kind of so it can stand up to it with about the same in the Grand Gala. Like I said, half an ounce, 3/4 of an ounce. And we're going to do the same with the main spirit. Now, main spirits are always going to be a little bit more, so we're going to put about 1.5 ounces into there. You could do 2 ounces too, but like I said, I have pretty big lemons today. Even the lemons, apparently an absolute no-no for Haakim. I was trying to make some, bring back some lemon juice, have a carbonated beverage that he could have, but too much sugar in it apparently. So I'm gonna put some ice in here so I can shake it up. Ironically, this is the one ingredient that Haakim can have, but Yeah, it's not going in the drink. And you'll see. Going to shake all this up. You want to really shake up anything with citrus. Anything without citrus, you're probably fine to stir, but when you got citrus, you have a lot of acids, a lot of elements in it that you want to break down. You want to mix really well and really thoroughly with the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to double strain this fully made sidecar into my coupe glass. As you can see, it's already looking lovely. Let's say your tea strainer is leaving back a little too much liquid through the citrus. You can stir that in a little bit more. And it's beautiful. Size looks like just enough so that it's not going to spill. So let's give it a little bit of a garnish. I like to make a fancy garnish whenever I can. And out of lemon, you can just line it up, create a little puncture in the middle here. And now, in addition to your sugar rim, you've got a nice little garnish for your sidecar. And this is a lovely little birthday drink that I'm going to enjoy, meaning you, Jack, are going to enjoy. And thanks again, Haakim. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to make you one because you gotta stick in there, buddy. 2 more weeks. You got this. Yes, it is delicious, right? Haakim. Oh, sorry, man. Sorry. I didn't mean to. But yeah. It is also Tuesday, April 13th, and today in the news. A vote from Amazon workers in Bessemer, Alabama last week determined that they will not form a union. The tally was nearly 1,800 against 738 for. This is one of the largest national pushes for a union of Amazon workers in history, including celebrity endorsements and an implied support from the White House in a speech from Joe Biden. The National Labor Relation Board and others allege that Amazon created an atmosphere of confusion, coercion, and/or fear of reprisals. And though we don't have all the details, we do know that Amazon had an aggressive and very successful campaign to squash pro-union sentiment among their workers and online. This vote lends added significance to the debate over the upcoming vote in Congress on the Pro-Union PRO Act. We will be talking more about that in the coming weeks. Joe Biden says he is prepared to negotiate on the scope of his infrastructure plan and how to pay for it. He hasn't ruled out passing anything by reconciliation, and based on the popularity of the COVID relief bill and the overwhelming support for the wide-ranging scope of this bill's proposals, I have no notion as to what the downside would be to passing it by reconciliation. Yes. Wouldn't you say that there's no downside to that at this point, passing it without Republicans?
It doesn't matter if there's a downside. It's just about like what they think the only thing that matters is the midterms.
Right. So this is like lip service, the trying to reach out nonetheless. But it's, right. I mean, it will help them if they just do it without Republicans, I think.
Yeah. It shows they actually have backbone.
Yeah. Biden has also announced the withdrawal of 2,500 troops, the remaining troops from Afghanistan, on September 11th, 2021, the 20th anniversary of the longest military conflict in U.S. history. Why would he want to impose some perverse symmetry on it is beyond me, but happy anniversary, Joe Biden and Afghanistan, I guess. Representative Ilhan Omar spoke in support for Yemeni liberation movement activists from Detroit and Dearborn who are leading protests and engaging in a hunger strike. The protests are in D.C. The hunger strike is ongoing to the end of the U.S.-backed blockade of Yemen by Saudi Arabia. The Yemeni civil war has been described as a Saudi-backed genocide against the Houthis and Yemen's Zaydi Shia Muslim minority. We kind of blew by this one last week. I did have it written down, but I think we just got to talking about the previous issue, and then we flew to the last one. But this is a big issue for our subject matter. Arkansas is the first state to outlaw gender-affirming treatment in trans youth. Among other treatments, the new law bans puberty blockers, a treatment option for transgender youth that is used to prevent the onset of puberty. There's an exception for intersex individuals, and the legislature overrode a veto from the Republican governor, Asa Hutchinson. On Sunday, as the trial of Derek Chauvin is underway, Dante Wright, another unarmed black man, was fatally shot during a traffic stop by Brooklyn Center, Minnesota officer Kim Potter. She claimed that she grabbed her pistol when she meant to grab her taser, and the released video bears this claim out. Brooklyn Center is a suburb of Minneapolis where there's been unrest in a state of emergency since. Officer Potter, who's been on suspension since the shooting, and her police chief have resigned today. And lastly, Michigan has the highest rate of COVID infections in the country right now and a record high on COVID hospitalizations of children at 10,669 new cases, with a 7-day average of 7,284 cases. Deaths are steadily increasing as well. The head of the CDC, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, has said that a new shutdown is needed. Well, first off, I did want to get your opinion, Haakim, on what's going on in Minneapolis. I think Chauvin is a case where they're trying to act like this sort of behavior was never trained, and that generally speaking, that this is not systemic among police officers there. And then we have, as soon as we deal with that situation, we have another cop who can't tell the difference between a pistol and a taser, which is a big mistake, real problem for them. But the video did say she was like, "I'm going to tase him," and then she shot him.
Yeah, why do these mistakes keep happening with black people?
Yeah,
the fact that the details are always all over the place, but the simple fact of the matter is death always seems to happen to people of color, and it's said to be a mistake, but it's always life threatening. It's even with the latest that I forget the name of the gentleman or the officer that got pulled over in Virginia.
Right.
This doesn't happen. Yes, he should have stopped, and the areas where maybe he should have acted in different ways in some areas, but this is a routine traffic stop where the officers decide to pull their guns out for license plates. And I know here, people are waiting for their license just to get an appointment at the just to get registered. So I don't know what to deal with, but still, this is a routine traffic stop. I don't know why you need guns for that, and that's kind of always the overuse of force. The fact that if you're in a situation where you have to make a decision between a lethal and non-lethal thing in an encounter like this is the issue.
And presumably with tasers you don't, but I mean, I forget whose joke it was. Whose joke was that? You don't get to fuck up as a pilot or something like that. It's mistaking your taser for a gun is not a mistake anybody should ever be making. It doesn't make sense. And anyway, just put them on.
You don't get to make those mistakes when you have the ability to take someone's life. I mean, I'm sorry,
And then lastly, I want your opinion. The CDC head said that we should do another shutdown in Michigan. Do you think it's going to happen?
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll
I
see.
don't think that people are going to stand for it. I think people are already ramping up to be over with it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that, but
Right.
I think people. I think Whitmer. She's going to have so much resistance. I think she's conscious of how much resistance. I think they're going to try to write it out this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Today is my birthday episode, so I'm having on a close friend, a person in my quarantine bubble, a local service industry professional, and singer. She's filling in for us for last minute, which I really appreciate. But we were planning on having her on anyway to talk about discrimination during COVID and in the workplace and at home. Stefanie Cox is in the house. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
How you
I'm
doing?
glad to be here. How's it going?
It's going
Happy
well.
birthday, love.
Stefanie, this is Haakim. Haakim, Stefanie.
Hi,
Stephanie, how you
Haakim. I
doing?
heard so much about you.
Nice to meet
What's
you.
up?
How you doing?
I'm glad to be on.
So
have you.
Thanks for having me.
first off, thanks for for coming through.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I was just about to come over anyway.
we had a time zone
Perfect.
issue. Yeah, and we were gonna hang out for my birthday anyway. So
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that I would start. Like I said, she's a fill-in, so we don't. I don't have anything particular prepared, but I don't know if you want to start about what your experience has been as a service industry professional during COVID. We kind of went through stuff together, but like I want to hear about like particularly you and your experience in your workplace and at home.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, there was a lot going on at Cork and Gable. I've been in a situation in a lot of restaurants and workplaces where I'm the only Black server or the only Black female server. It's happened more often than not. And in my friend groups, whatever. So I've dealt with a lot of discrimination, a lot of issues, but this time I had just had enough. I opened a brand new restaurant called Cork and Gable. A lot of y'all know me. I've worked in a lot of different restaurants and bars. I sing all over. And just immediately the head chef.
This is a local Corktown restaurant.
Yes, it's a restaurant in the same building as Two Dames, right on Michigan Avenue with big glass windows. There was a lot of potential. I was really excited to be a part of this company and this new thing. So we were even on a reality show when I opened the restaurant. But from the get-go, I had issues with my manager in definitely singling me out from the other staff, especially my male and white male staff, and other staff that was white and just not Black. There's one other Black woman working there who's one of his friends who was a manager who was there off and on.
And how did
not really that
I'm
much.
sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
How did they single you out?
They singled me out by treating me differently. Like any little thing that I did or said, I felt like I was under a microscope. Just making little comments about how confident I was. I'm a very confident, bubbly, energetic person. And he would make negative comments like, "Oh, didn't your parents ever love you? What's wrong with you? Why are you so happy? Or why are you so confident? Why is she think like, I know the underlying issues of race, like the what are they? The little micro things. Someone doesn't just come out and call me an N-word and be like, I don't like you because of this. They're like, oh, they have an issue with me being a strong, assertive Black woman who speaks her mind, who, when I enter a room, I do hold a certain presence. I know that. They just did things very unprofessional. And when I would try to communicate to do my job, because I'm a communicative person, he would like have an issue or an attitude sometimes, but with someone else, he wouldn't. Or it was just a lot of things on top of the lying and the gaslighting, the whole entire staff.
How did this manifest when it came time to open during COVID?
Oh, well, I commented on something on social media about opening, and my boss immediately, instead of asking us like to have a meeting, he just wanted via text a show of hands who was going to return to work without a meeting, without talking about precautions or anything like that. And I was upset about that. And finally, we got to have a meeting before we opened, but he wanted a show of hands first via text to say who was coming back full time immediately before a meeting, before we even reopened officially. And I had a problem with that, and I expressed that I had an issue with that. It was very unprofessional.
Was the implication that they were going to, stay closed if everybody was uncomfortable with it, or they were going to force you to work or deny you unemployment?
Well, I knew that we had to go back to work in order to still receive unemployment, but
that's what they told you, that you had to go back to work to receive
they actually didn't even tell us. We just talked about that amongst ourselves, the servers. But
what did they say would happen with your unemployment?
they didn't say either here nor there. They were just like, show of hands, who wants to return to work? And they said, if you don't feel comfortable in the meeting, finally, after we begged for it, they're like, oh, if you don't feel comfortable coming back, that's okay. Just let us know what you're comfortable with, etc. And I thought that was okay. But of course, I knew there was some manipulative bullshit behind it, the usual with them.
What else, if you don't mind me asking, what ultimately happened with the employees on unemployment? Were they able to work enough so that they kept it, or, we
were put under the work share program. I returned to work within like 3-4 days because I wanted to see just how it would play out. I just wanted to see. I think we all did. And I returned to work like less than a week after they reopened the first time. And then not long after that, we were all put under the work share program. And
could you describe your understanding of the work share program?
My understanding was if they're not able to give us enough hours that we need to survive, then we get unemployment to make up for that. And the business also got money to have their employees under the work share program. So I was under the work share program for exactly about a month. And as soon as the work share program ended, the day of, my boss, Matthew McGrail, lied and said that I refused to return to work when in fact I was still employed under him, working under the work share program technically. And ever since then, my unemployment has been on pause because of his lies. We've been going back and forth. And he said, and then firing me was a whole mess of stuff too, mess of lies. Because I kept asking after work share ended, I asked for more shifts. I was like, can I please work more shifts? And he's like, I'll see what I can do. Gave me some bullshit excuse. I'll see what I can do. And then eventually.
So the opposite of what he said happened?
Yeah. And so I got less and less shifts as it went along. And then before you know it, I wasn't on the schedule for a couple weeks, and I tried to call him about it. And for like a week, he dodged me on the phone, wouldn't answer my phone calls, then sent me an email that didn't even make sense, saying that I changed my availability when I did not. And I'm like, you read it wrong. He's done that many times. He's a very manipulative person. And he just lies, like constantly. Lies on top of lies.
So it sounds like you have a very, I'm sorry, did you want to finish your thought?
Yeah, that at the very end, he ended up finally firing me over the phone and saying that other people wanted to work full time. And I was like, well, I have been, trying to get more shifts and you denied me. So, I mean, I don't know what to do. And then parted ways. So here we are. And that was in August.
Did they take all the precautions that they should have in COVID when they did open?
I think so, but
I never went there while they were.
I worked so little, and we had such little business that I barely worked when we reopened for COVID, like maybe once a week, and I'd be sent home after 2 or 3 hours because we'd be dead.
Right.
So I barely had any customers.
What
people there?
In general, do you think that? Well, it sounds like you have like a good detailed account of like all this is happening. Do you have some?
I've been there since we opened.
Well,
and
do you
also
have
he
some?
told another coworker he was purposely giving me bad shifts and denying me shifts to make me quit, but I wouldn't quit, so he ended up firing me.
Right.
Because I refused to leave.
Do you have any like certain reprisals against this right now, or?
Yes, I do. I have officially filed. I filed this months ago with the Department of Human Rights. I filed a complaint, and Cork and Gable will be investigated. It's a long process, but I've been getting multiple letters in the mail notifying me of like my investigation was passed on, first looked at by this person, then officially passed on to an investigator, and that is what I'm waiting on right now. So hopefully they get fined. They have to take some classes in diversity because Matthew McGrail, the head chef there, treats women horribly. He has an issue with women, strong women who speak up against themselves. But yet my male coworkers can do whatever they want and like fly off at the handle and say and drink on the job or do whatever they want. But I move the slightest bit and I'm chastised and signaled out.
Right.
So I'm sick of that behavior. I'm not taking it anymore.
And the reason we were talking about you coming on and talking about this publicly is because you've already posted about it on social media.
Yeah.
Was there any
about it on social media, and then
could you describe the response you got from that in general from maybe them or other people?
Yeah. Whoa, I have a couple. So I mentioned the three people that discriminated against me, which was Matthew McGrail, the owner and chef, and then the sous chef, Richard Mohofer, I forget how to say his last name. And then there was another chef, or not chef, a former manager named Richard Stefanie, who in particular would say very low-key racist things to me when he was managing terribly for a very short amount of time. He called me a fascist at one point. He threatened my job. He was like, be professional, like, pretty much telling me that I didn't act professionally, which is bullshit when we disagreed about something. And just all those little, the little microaggressive racist comments. Like, I already know what it is. I've been there, I've done that. But I wrote a very detailed account of my experiences and put it on social media, and a lot of people listened, replied. And then Matthew McGrail from Cork and Gable sent me a threat letter saying that if I don't remove what I said from social media and then apologize to all three of these awful, abusive, emotionally abusive men, then they could sue me for libel. So naturally, I took it down because my only proof are my experiences, and because I don't want to be sued for libel. But I'm not apologizing, and if anything, I'm going to continue to talk about my experiences from the rooftops.
Well, I'm glad you did.
I had one more weird fucked up experience is the former manager, David. He was the very first manager there. I liked him. I thought we got along. He only worked there for a couple months because he was sick of dealing with Matthew McGrail's bullshit once again. And he happens to be friends with one of the other managers that I mentioned that treated me horrible, was probably the most racist one out of all three, out of two of them. Matthew McGrail was the worst, and Richard Stefanie was the second worst. So David, the former manager, asked me about what I put online because he's my friend on social media. He's like, why would you mention this about Richard? And I told him my experiences. I said, he said racist things to me. He also signaled me out and treated me different than the other staff, the white girls, and, a lot of comments that he's made about homeless people. Like, I know when someone's racist, they don't just have to come out and be like, I don't like you because you're Black. It's all the little things. I experience it enough where I know. And then David was like, oh, I agree with you with the others, but I don't want to hear anything about my friend. I was like, oh, that's interesting. You guys protect each other. And he asked me, do I have proof of my experiences? I said, how would I have proof of the things that happen to me and that are said to me on a daily basis? What do I walk around with a video camera recording my manager saying fucked up shit to me all the time? Or do you just listen to my experiences? So that was very interesting to me too. I was like, okay, David, I see how it is. Like when one of your friends is called out for their racist behavior, and it kind of makes sense in my real life too. I've cut a lot of people that were very close to me for years off. My old roommate and friend of 13 years, I realized had a lot of racist tendencies too. A lot of things I did not want to face. Stuff with other people in my friend group that I realized are very toxic, and I'm not allowing that behavior in my life anymore. Professionally, friendship wise, romantically, just not doing it. So that's what this whole experience has done for me.
Stefanie.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're Haakim, you're a bartender. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. So how consistent do you think that is in either industry or just in the city? Your experiences based on
it's very consistent. It's very consistent because in our industry, they can use any reason to say that, oh, to fire you, to be like, oh, they said this to a customer, or they did this, or they were wearing that, or they were moving too slow to a table. You can pretty much use any excuse to kick out a service industry person and you just don't like them personally, and you can use whatever excuse. They don't go through the same things that other professions go through. I feel like when it comes to like hiring and firing,
Right. And
it's a lot of like who you know and that kind of stuff.
right. And as a woman, you talked about the differences between being a man and getting treated a certain way, and also being a woman and being a woman of color. How much different is it when you see certain men get treated a certain way, and you get treated a certain way, or other women get treated a certain way?
Way different. Like if I speak my mind up about something, like let's say there's a work meeting and I'm bringing up an issue, then they'll be quick to be like, oh, or I'm bringing up an issue to management at work, and they'll be quick to like gaslight me or make it seem like I did something wrong when I'm bringing up an issue. But I guarantee you, if like one of my white male coworkers brings up the same issue, he'll get a pat on the back. He'll be like, oh, you know what? That was a good idea. Or maybe we could do things a different way, instead of just dismissing it like, oh, she's just running her mouth again. She's just, that kind of shit. Happens
You
all
think
the
compared
time.
to your black male coworkers as well?
None of them are really in the front of the house. That's been a consistent thing too.
That's a whole problem unto itself.
They're
Right?
not really in the front. Not really. Been the only one. And Carrie, our manager, that was my owner's friend.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that because it's a consistent problem I face myself, obviously. Do you like what? Do you feel a certain need when you are the front of house person? You're kind of the face of the on the floor. Do you feel a certain pressure being a person of color front of the house
Oh
compared to like
yeah.
having seeing everyone else there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like you're under a magnifying glass. I make the littlest mistake, or if I'm late a couple times, then like, oh, they noticed, well, you were late this day and this day, but so and so can stroll in late every shift. No one says a word. No one even cares. But with me, it's an issue. Anything that I do or say, like, oh, this customer heard you say this. I'm like, oh, okay. Did the customer see my male coworkers slamming things around behind the bar? Making a scene, being loud and kind of scary because he's angry about something. But no one talks about that. That's okay.
Yeah, I would say like you
Them to act like that, but I can't even make a peep. And it's, let's sit down, have a conversation, a write up. You did this, you did that. I'm like, it's exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, for as you say, you always have to stick to landing when you're
Always have to stick the landing. Good way to put it. All
Yeah.
right, Stefanie,
Yeah.
did you have anything else you wanted to say before about your experiences? I mean, we're not going to talk too much more about going into detail, but it seems like you're in a better place now. So.
Oh yeah, I'm in a much better place. I'm very happy living in a new place on the east side. I can't wait to see the outcome of this investigation against Cork and Gable.
and the only other thing I'd say about that is like we dealt with I heard about this experience with WorkShare simultaneously while I was still on unemployment and able to work here and there, a limited amount of time. And the WorkShare seems like it's a cover to get the unemployment in the hands of management. So if we have any workers out there that are being pressured to do it, think twice about it. Do your research. That's all I'll say about it. But yeah, thank you again for being on here and filling in, Stefanie. And I'm excited to celebrate tonight.
For sure. I'll talk to you very soon. Haakim, it was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Take care.
All right, we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye. And that pretty much concludes our show. Thank you for tuning in for my very special birthday episode. And I will cheers myself for now. My two friends here can't raise a glass yet, but rest assured, it will happen in the future, near or far. You good,
Cheers.
Haakim? You want to say goodbye to the people?
Next week, hopefully we'll have a same guest next week. Maybe
We'll see. We have a mystery guest that we couldn't use this week. He might be able to do it next week. I'll talk to him. If not, I'll probably find someone else.
Yeah.
Right. So see you then.
Take care.
Try to make things work and gain some